how this tiny country became the best at night trains in Europe. Dang it, I was gonna try and guess the country here, and I looked at the description and saw that it says Austria's ÖBB is both the continent's largest night train network. I wouldn't really categorize Austria as a tiny country. They're fairly big, but nonetheless, we're here with DW Planet A. These guys got a lot of channels. I have not seen this one yet. I'm curious though. I am riding a night train from London all the way up to Scotland. Really excited about it. Can't wait for you guys to see it. Let's see what Austria's got going on with their night trains though, and maybe I might have to hit one when I'm down in that area.
Whenever I have planned a long trip across Europe these days, night trains have been popping up as an option everywhere. Way more than I remember from, say, 10 years ago. And strangely enough, most of the cool routes come from this tiny mountain country you'd never guess. Austria's state rail company is running daily night trains all over the continent, more than any other operator. In fact, almost everyone else is cutting back services because night trains are a pain to run and cost a lot. But Austria's night trains are comfortable, popular, and punctual.
Why would they cost a lot? Probably from the labor? Like, do you have to pay night train workers more money, maybe? Because I would assume that it might be less, no? I would figure if you're running a train at night, it would be cheaper.
So, what's their secret? So, I hopped on an overnight train, what else? And went straight to Vienna to find out exactly how this small country became Europe's night train powerhouse. And who else is joining the party. Oh, and stay till the end. I'll tell you exactly when tickets are the cheapest.
3 months in advance.
We're at a local station near Hamburg, and it's currently about 8 p.m. And we're supposed to arrive in Vienna at 10 a.m. tomorrow in the morning. So I've got a 14-hour journey ahead of me. And then the slick-looking sleeper pulled in. We wanted to book a train from Berlin, but Austrian Rail said we have to take this one if we want to film, because it's their newest carriages.
No, there you
the
go.
The Austrians are
They're
definitely
like,
putting
the
their best
one.
foot forward. They have made sure to put us on a train that's polished and white. We've got carpet floor. I want to take my shoes off. I'm booked into these mini cabins. I think we're there. This is my humble abode for the night. It's giving Japanese capsule hotel vibes. But more capsule, less hotel. It did feel like playing Tetris to fit myself and my stuff in. Okay.
See, this is not what I was expecting. I was expecting like an entire little area, like a whole car.
Well, this will do for
cozy
the night,
though.
I guess. Okay, we've got a pillow, blanket, which I'm not sure will keep me warm. Doesn't look very warm. I've got a mirror, and it folds down to be a table.
Oh.
I've got my own private window. Currently, I can't see anything. And I've also got a panel here. Oh.
Lights?
I've got disco lights in here. Cozy. Nice and cozy. We paid 99 euros for this.
Cool.
Which, if I can sleep, is
Wait, I missed it.
We paid 99 euros for this, which,
99
if I
euros.
can sleep, is a fair deal to me because I'm saving on a night in a hotel.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I'm so like attracted to sleeper trains, because you don't have to pay for a hotel and you kind of like knock out two birds with one stone, you know?
So for an okay price, you get some privacy, rare for night trains in Europe. And passengers in the shared compartment are enamored with the capsules, as I realized when I met Will and Florian.
I was impressed with just the thoughtfulness of the design. It felt like really making the most of a compact space.
They just met because they're sharing the compartment, which gives it a bit of a youth hostel feel. And you're not afraid of him snoring?
Do you snore?
Not frequently, but I do have like those not earplugs, you know.
So you can't hear him, but he can hear you.
I have earplugs too.
Okay. This is the cheapest option. If you dare to spend a 14-hour journey sitting up, why would you do that?
I chose the seated one just because it's way cheaper and it's very normal, like where I come from. I come from India.
I wonder if the seat goes back. That actually wouldn't be too bad if the seat went back a little bit at least, so you could sleep.
In Asia, sleeper trains have long been an integral part of travel. Especially in vast countries like India and China, where people travel long distances, regular trains often include sleeping compartments. They are very affordable.
It's like a tenth of the price of a flight, so the price I had to say in Europe is, in general, is way higher.
Yeah, sure.
And if I don't have so much luggage, I would have gone with a flight.
So the seated car is often a compromise. It was pretty empty at this point too. Do you think
Yeah,
you'll
there's
be
like
able to
nobody
sleep?
in there.
That's a good question. I have some entertainment plans, so
Okay. Of course, there's also a fancy first-class option. That's where my
let's
cameraman
see
Henning
this.
will be sleeping. He gets a bigger cabin because of all the equipment. A whopping 330 euros for the entire suite. It fits 2 people and
Yeah, this is about what we're paying.
he's got his own toilet and even a shower. When traveling long distances, people mostly care about 2 things: price and time. If those were improved, 10 to 30% would be willing to switch from plane to night train, studies have found. So why are these people doing it already?
I can carry a lot of luggage. I don't have a restriction. I can travel in night where I would consider it's not a productive time.
Others just find it convenient.
Also ich finde, das ist die angenehmste Art und Weise zu reisen, weil man schlafen kann und ich kann eigentlich überall schlafen.
Okay.
Verliere ich nichts von meiner Freizeit quasi und Fliegen ist nicht wirklich eine Option und darum aus umwelttechnischen Gründen.
Within continental Europe, I always try to take night trains.
Why?
For sustainability reasons.
The environmental benefit of electric night trains is real. This German study looked at their potential. Per kilometer traveled, the hierarchy is clear. Night trains beat cars, and they absolutely crush planes on emissions. If 30% of current air passengers shifted to night trains, which would require several dozen new routes to and from Germany, that could save up to this amount of emissions, which would offset the entire climate impact of flights within Germany. But flying is the reason why night trains almost went extinct in the first place. Over the course of the 1800s, faster trains and longer routes made overnight travel possible. The US Pullman sleeper was one of the first overnight carriages.
These deluxe accommodations are now
They called it poor man's sleeper.
accepted as a matter of course on any overnight train trip, an established part of our way of traveling.
Across the Atlantic, this Belgian firm copied them. By the 1930s, it ran more than 2,000 sleeper cars across Europe.
That's a cool train.
Including the legendary Orient Express, a rolling palace which cut the journey from Paris to Istanbul from a matter of months to 3 days. A development that sort of turned the whole geography of Europe on its head. For decades, night trains were the classy way to travel, if you could afford it. But then came cheap flights, mass-produced cars and motorway networks, which lured passengers away from night trains.
I think the biggest, most attractable thing for riding a train instead of an airplane for me is the space. Kind of what that man was saying before, where he was like, I can take however many bags I want. Come on, you know, it's a non-productive time where I don't have to be focusing on anything. I think that just the amount of space that you get is just insane compared to airplanes. Because when I ride airplanes or fly on airplanes, you know, I'm not sitting in like business class. I'm in the back and coach, just absolutely crammed with someone else's seat right in my face.
Sleepers couldn't keep pace in the economic race and were largely discontinued. Today, the fascination still lingers, though it's largely sentimental.
Now, the legendary Orient Express is making a comeback. The historic train service is being restored to its former glory.
You can hop on the new version if you're part of a Netflix cast, or fork out a casual 20,000 euros.
20,000
But back to our
euros?
less glamorous trip to Vienna. After frantically searching for an onboard restaurant, spoiler, there is none, I discovered I can order food to my cabin. On my way back there, I checked this info board. Okay, so we're about 3 hours into the journey now. We're still crossing Germany, and we're going at an average speed of about 92 kilometers per hour.
Okay.
And that's when I made a terrible discovery.
What happened? Explain to me.
Lock our key in
My
there.
card in the cabin, and now I can't get in. After straying around looking for help, I finally managed to kneel down for dinner. I went for classic Austrian dessert Kaiserschmarrn, although at this point I would have eaten the menu. Then I found out that Austria, a country of 9 million people, transports 1.5 million passengers on night trains every year. And they have a vast network. Austrian Rail runs daily sleepers to Italy, Germany, Switzerland, Belgium, Czechia and the Netherlands.
Dang,
Some
they go a
don't
lot of
even
places.
go through Austria, go figure. But that's a question for tomorrow.
Okay, so it's almost midnight now. I've brushed my teeth, and so now I guess this is the moment of truth, and we'll find out if I can actually sleep in here.
It looks fine. It looks perfect. I feel like I
Rise
would
and
sleep
shine.
great in there.
Morning. Well, this went better than expected. I got about 6.5 hours of sleep.
It was way
Perfect.
comfier than my last night train in a chaotic 6-bed compartment, where I fell asleep late and even missed breakfast. Not this time. But I'm having it in Henning's fancy suite. Let's see how everyone else slept.
The cameraman, he probably slept
I
amazing.
feel like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah. 7 of 10.
Yeah, like a 6 or 7.
Okay. Relativ erholt. Es klingt natürlich nicht das gleiche wie zu Hause.
I struggled a bit, but I had my sleep mask on and some noise cancelling headphones, and I was listening to something and I slept.
After 2 more hours whooshing through the Austrian countryside, we finally made it to Vienna main station. Here I'm meeting Kurt Bauer, who has been heading Austria's night trains and long-distance passenger services for the past 10 years. He says their focus is on dedication and building a reliable brand. And inevitably, a fair few influencers have checked out their sleeper cabins and posted about them on YouTube.
Good morning, how are you today?
Austria's location also helps. It's surrounded by other countries but quite stretched out. At night, it can take almost 10 hours to go from one end to the other. So
we operate domestic night trains, and they are still necessary because we don't have high-speed connections within Austria.
That's why a train trip from, say, Vienna to Amsterdam would take
something like 10 to 11 hours. And then you really have to be either very strong into this green traveling or a real train enthusiast. But I would say for a lot of people that wouldn't be an option.
Unless you can sleep through most of the journey. But the big break for Austrian Rail came in 2016 when Germany's Deutsche Bahn officially walked away from night trains.
We had to decide, do we also want to cut down the night train network dramatically? Or do we want to become one big operator with a distinct brand? And we decided to go for the second because, to be quite honest, for a small state operator like ÖBB, there are very few opportunities to become a real European player. And that was one of those opportunities.
They took over 40% of German
apart.
Rail's nighttime connections and bought a lot of their sleeping carriages secondhand. Since then, Austrian Rail has also ordered new coaches. The move was actually pretty huge. Because having sleeper carriages that fit all the technical requirements is one of the biggest bottlenecks in the whole business. More on that in a bit. Another factor for Austrian Rail's success is politics.
What I really think Austria does much better than a lot of other countries is a consistent railway strategy over decades. Railway is long-term investment.
Many European countries have in the past practically defunded their state railways. But Austria is one of the best financed railway systems in Europe, especially when looking at the share of GDP that countries invest into rail infrastructure. Between 2000 and 2021, the state on average poured more than twice as much money into rail as into roads. Though the state only directly funds domestic night trains, so the international ones need to pay for themselves. There is no official data, but experts say Austrian Rail likely struggles to manage that. Why? Because, as another expert told me, these babies are expensive.
The industry is not keen on night trains, right? Because they say they're not viable.
John Worth has analysed the state of European railways for years. I want to know, what are the biggest problems?
How long have you got? Right, so they're ultimately... So, at the moment, there literally are not enough night trains to go around. We do not have enough carriages. And the only company that's built new carriages so far is the Austrian Railways at ÖBB.
VR from Finland and Italy's Trenitalia have two, but only for domestic night trains. The crux, investors won't pay for new sleeper carriages unless they're sure the market can make money, but operators can't prove they're profitable without those new wagons.
There is a chicken and egg problem. You can overcome the finance problems if you get the right players into the market to talk to each other. Right? Does the European Union, and specifically the European Commission, understand that? No.
Also, carriages from France can't necessarily run in Poland.
There are, in Europe, 3 different gauges of the tracks, right? So the width of the tracks. There are 4 electrification systems for trains in Europe. There are more than 20 different signaling systems.
That's I didn't know that it was that diverse on like the tracks, the signaling systems. I thought it was all just like unison.
The problem is space. Our train fits 250 people. A high-speed day train from Germany's state operator can hold almost 4 times as many. And it can run multiple times a day, whereas night trains only run once. Staff cost a lot at night, which is probably why there was no restaurant on my ride. And countries like Spain, France and Germany charge a lot for foreign trains to run on their tracks. So for the biggest players on the market, it's simply not worth it.
State railways don't care. Basically. It's operationally complicated, you don't make that much money out of it, it doesn't fit your prevailing model of running high-speed trains. For many railway countries, it's just simply too much hassle, too much bother.
Also, it's really hard to draw up schedules. It's not just construction works. Many train stations have already filled the evening and early morning slots, which are crucial for night train journeys. A real dumpster fire of problems. And it shows.
Yeah, it sounds like there are a lot of factors that are in the way of like actually making night trains more accessible and just having a lot more of them, right?
Even Austrian Rail quietly dropped their Italian Riviera route and permanently shut the Paris-Vienna and Paris-Berlin connections in 2025.
Indeed, there are no plans to extensively extend the network. The network, operationally, has a certain limit, and we have reached this limit.
So if Austria has maxed out, who can step up for the rest? Downtown Vienna, time for some digging. With more space and less jiggling this time. And I discovered something interesting.
God, Vienna looks so beautiful.
That Paris-Berlin route that the Austrian Railways closed, it's still running.
Because a private player has swooped in to save the day, or rather the night. European Sleeper. It hasn't been smooth sailing, their CEO told me. They only just managed to get enough bed sheets in time. I want to know what private players can do that state rail companies can't.
Night trains are a pretty specific kind of product, so you need to focus on that.
Chris Engelsmann co-founded European Sleeper in 2021.
You need stewards, you need bedding, the washing, and if you don't do that, it can cost a lot. But a lot of state-owned railways, they do night trains just as a side business.
To optimize, European Sleeper simply scraps stops that don't make logistical sense, like Vienna, and add others depending on demand. Also, they only run on specific days of the week when demand is high.
Tuesdays is always the worst day, and then so if you want cheap tickets, then the Tuesday is the day to look for.
Tuesday, okay.
And they are renting old sleeper cars instead of buying them, some as old as 60 years, which has earned them some pretty lousy reviews. But with this budget approach, they expect their route from Prague to Brussels to turn a profit this year.
We really want to prove that the night train business can be profitable. So that is our driver to get it going.
It seems that night trains can work, especially if the EU prioritizes them. Because they are a prime solution to making traffic less polluting. And people want them. I'm hearing it over and over.
Demand is not a problem.
We are even growing in demand.
The fact that passenger demand is strong means that in the end someone is going to solve this one way or another in the medium term.
Well, the more companies you get out there doing it, the cheaper it's going to get because, you know, more competition.
Time for me to plan my next trip.
Dennis, anyone? Could you imagine traveling overnight like this? Tell me in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out dw.com for more stories.
All right, that was really, really cool. I like that a lot. Night train, I'm wondering, I might have to look into it. I might have to look into riding them from, I wonder if I can go from like Prague to Austria on one of these night trains. I think you can. I'm pretty sure that's what it said. All right, I'm getting out of here. Thanks for the recommendation, you guys. That was really, really cool. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.